A good midday Tuesday to everyone. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. Well, we have some wintry precipitation on the way, predominantly wet snow, but also some drier snow, as well as some mixed precipitation types, including a little bit of freezing rain, but more likely some sleet. All of that is going to keep snowfall totals down, but we are looking at a slight chance, a slight possibility of some impacts. See the later heads up. This is our storm system. We are looking at rain and kind of a dividing line of warmer temperatures. Of course, snow where the temperatures are much colder. This is an upper level trough of lower pressure. And jet stream energy is working on this open wave that's going to be taking a track like this. It's going to form along the triple point of a warm front, occluded front, cold front. We're going to see this area of low pressure develop and then take a track either along Long Island Sound, or maybe even just a little bit further to the north and coastal parts of New England, and then eventually move away. Throwing a lot of complexity is this system here that's also going to have a surface low that's going to try to make a track along the St. Lawrence Valley. The combination of those two is making for a tricky forecast, but it doesn't look like this is going to be a giant event. However, we're still not out of the woods for the possibility of some impacts. Looking at temperature across the region at large, you can see that some pretty cold air is across some parts of Canada, just north of North Dakota, for example. And this colder pull aloft will eventually get involved and work in after the weather system pushes on through. So we're not really looking at anything major in terms of super cold, but we are looking at a kind of a colder trend that's going to go beyond this outlook period, which ends on Sunday. Probably the coldest of the cold is a dip in temperature with some Arctic chill along about Monday. Thereafter, potentially a weather pattern change. Let's take a look at some of the computer modeling. You can see that. GFS ensemble on the right-hand side. We have the European deterministic model on the left-hand side from 0Z last night. This is our area of higher pressure that's in control. We're starting to see some high clouds build in now, and that's going to be the case, cutting back a little bit on sunshine. This system makes a run at it. Looks like the arrival time is going to be, this is about 3Z, or about 10 o'clock in the evening. And that first gets into Bennington County and then spreads further to the sort of northeast. And you can see that we have some mixed precipitation types here. And as I run the model, you can see that area of low pressure begin to form off the coast and then take a track and pull away. And this is valid about 06Z, or around 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. But most of this is going to be ending well before that, probably by around 9-10 o'clock, it looks like, on Wednesday evening. So what will have fallen, with the bulk of which will be probably about midday or say late morning through about the early to mid-afternoon, will be the heaviest. It could also produce a little bit of sleet, as you can see here, and even some potential for some light freezing rain in some parts of southern Vermont as well. GFS ensemble has been fairly good agreement with the European, so conditions are such that this will be followed with colder air streaming in out of Canada with kind of a west-northwesterly flow and maybe even just about west to east flow. And we'll see some lake effect plumes begin to affect us along about Thursday. That's going to linger into the day on Friday. You can see another disturbance here, some of the coldest air aloft. It's going to track in, and that's going to continue the lake effect machine kicking in. Now, eventually, this is the coldest. This is valid again about Sunday morning at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And you can see this is probably going to be our coldest shot during Sunday night and Monday. And once that moves on by, we have a ridge of higher pressure. And then we're also setting up for a weather pattern change ahead of Thanksgiving. Note these 540 meter thickness decameters here is going to start to make a rise. That's an indicator of warmer temperatures. And eventually, we get warmer temperatures right at the end here. This is not until about sometime along about Thanksgiving Day or Black Friday. And looking at the GFS ensemble, let's take a look at the 3-hourly QPF. Basically, it looks like this. And what we can see is basically the main event. This is all going to be sort of chatter, almost noise in the machine, with lake effect snow showers and snow flurries. This is 850 millibar temperatures, about the top of Mount Mansfield, about that slice of the atmosphere. And this is all below the freezing mark, a little bit above, and that's where we can get a little bit of a mix with the precipitation types. And we can show you that here with just a little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of rain even. Not seeing much sleet, but sleet's going to be a pretty good factor with this system, especially during the afternoon, especially across, I would say, the southeastern 2/3 of the state. And the good news on wind is that we're going to see wind gusts under 40 miles or 40 knots in this particular case. And being under 40 knots at 850 millibars means you can certainly not have to worry too much about gradient winds. So all the big weather action is happening in the east, and you can see in the Great Lakes, lake effect snows. This is our main runner of the system here. You can see almost a track. And basically, we're looking at mixed precipitation types. Most predominantly, however, will be wet snow. And here you can see it's just about it is coast to coast cold, with the coldest of the cold up here in this particular area of southern Saskatchewan. Cold anomalies, of course, in the deep south, but this is the one to watch as it will be moving in eventually across those Great Lakes and setting up lake effect plumes once this system shoots on out into our north and east. And that brings us to temperatures, weighted meteorological output statistics of high temperatures only for the next 5 days. And we're looking at, again, below normal temperatures by around 6, almost 9 degrees. About 3 days later, looking at kind of similar, around 6 to 9 degrees. Still coast to coast, cold. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.